August will be 26 years that I've lived in Okeechobee. Originally from Fort Pierce. Moved here when I was 16 with my mother.
Hmm.
When I was 17, I joined the United States Army. I did that until 2002. I got out, hurt my knee, a couple other things. So ended up, leaving there with an honorable discharge, uh, and then came back to Florida here in Okeechobee. Started out in corrections, worked in law enforcement. I've got over 20 years of experience in both of those disciplines. I've also worked in the private sector a little bit, and I've been an instructor at the police academy for the last 11 years.
And had some time as chief of a small department. Talk about that.
Well, that was a poor decision on my part. Probably should not have taken that job. I think I was a little young and naive and thinking that I could jump into a role like that.
Where was this?
It was in the town of Willaca in
Hmm.
Putnam County.
Hmm.
I encountered a mayor that I didn't know at the time had about 27 or 28 ethics violations against him. And I certainly found out that when he wanted me to destroy evidence, that this probably stemmed from those ethics violations. So I encountered that, and ultimately I tried to resign, but the mayor went off and fired me when I presented him with my resignation.
Talk about what brought you to the decision to run for sheriff in Okeechobee County and what you consider the most important issues you need to tackle.
All right. Um, I've ran before. I ran in 2012, and as early as January of this year, I've had people asking me, to take and jump into this race, and I honestly did not want to. I was pretty content in my role at the time. I was happy in going forward with that. But these folks were very persistent, and were expressing grave concerns about the sheriff's office. There was inmates that had been dying since 2019 in the jail. A lot of folks, one of those parents, um, she was the mother of a child that was pregnant in the jail that had died. And so not only did she lose her child, but she also lost a grandchild. And it just seems like these deaths continue to continue. Um, as as I had stated there, from 2019 and going forward. So I see a great disconnect there in regards to, what can we do differently in order to make sure that inmates are safe while they're in the custody of the jail. So that is definitely one of my top priorities is to ensure the safety of the inmates, in addition to also having open communication with the families of those inmates. I've had a lot of folks that have reached out to me during this campaign that have said that, they've called the jail and they're unable to find out if medicine has been provided, what is the medical condition of their loved one. The nurse doesn't return a call. You got folks that have been transported from the jail to the hospital and then they're released all of a sudden. It just seems like there's a lot of um, I don't know, stuff in the shadows that is happening there. So that is a top
People in that,
priority.
what's the typical inmate population there in Okeechobee?
The average is about 167 is what they provided to me in public records. I believe that was the number.
Beyond the
Um,
inmate issues, what other priorities in terms of crime trends, protecting constituents, do you see as most important that would be a priority for you, sir?
we definitely need to do more proactive policing. I did pull records from the sheriff's office and discovered that we had a little over 1,700 burglaries since the sheriff became in office. But in comparison, we've only done approximately 18 proactive patrols. So I'm not saying that they're not doing proactive patrols, but we're not utilizing the tools at our disposal to ensure that we're doing everything that we can. In order to utilize intelligence-led policing, you have to have documentation, you have to have that data. And right now, I don't see that happening at the sheriff's office. And I want to make sure that we bring that to the sheriff's office, in addition to also, opening and building our relationship with the community. That's important because without the community's assistance, we're not going to be able to prevent crime.
What is the number one thing you hear when you talk to would-be constituents about crime concerns? You've talked a bit about the burglaries. I know drugs are a huge problem.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
and what about any other priorities? But in your own words, what else do you see as something that would be a day one, year one tackle?
A day one tackle would be to expand our traffic unit. And I want to do that for a couple of reasons. One, I hear constituents talking about, people passing in no passing zones, speeding, aggressive driving. So I want to take and I want to incorporate some unmarked cars into our traffic unit and expand that unit. I'll be able to do this by restructuring the agency. We're a little in the top heavy as far as I'm concerned. So I've restructured the agency already through an org chart that I prepared. Um, that traffic unit is also going to be a interdiction unit. In addition to expanding it just for the speeding and the aggressive driving, we're also going to have commercial motor vehicle enforcement because we have to stop the drugs from coming into the county. As in addition to also, stopping our street level dealers as well. If we
What's
can
the biggest
stop the
drug coming
flow,
in? What's the biggest drug concern coming into the county?
fentanyl.
Yeah,
Fentanyl is our biggest concern.
you hear
You
that all.
know, yes, sir. And it's a major problem. There's a lot of people that have, been arrested and, are currently incarcerated for this and whatnot. But there are also those that we're not catching that are, trafficking this substance into our county. And we've got to do a better job of making sure that we're tracking those folks down.
Sir, I know it's a brief chance, but nonetheless, a good chance for you to introduce yourself to constituents and put your case forward. Final thought on why you should be the choice. Primary day, and of course, we've already got mail-in and early voting. Why you?
I believe that I'm your best choice when it comes to the sheriff's office. I have a passion for this county. I have a passion for the people that live here. I want to treat everyone fair, firm, and consistent. That goes for the employees as well, but also our inmates and just our community. I want our deputies to get out and be involved and be engaged with the community. You'll see a larger presence without an increase in budget, without an increase in personnel, because we're going to refocus our community-oriented policing model. And by doing that, you will see a huge impact to our proactive policing and the engagement that you see with our deputies.